Hi everyone, I am Pankaj Sharma. Today I will walk you through some of the key concepts in Prince2. Before we start with the core topic, let's quickly go through the agenda for today's session. Now what you see on the screen currently is the agenda for our discussion today. We'll start with the meaning of the acronym Prince2. We'll also talk about the 6 aspect or performance targets against which progress is measured in Prince2. We'll also talk about structure of Prince2, which is depicted through 4 integrated elements that are principles, processes, themes, and tailoring Prince2 to the project environment. We'll also cover Prince2 organization structure in details. We'll also talk about Prince2 qualification scheme, which consists of Prince2 Foundation, Prince2 Practitioner, and Prince2 Professional exams. Finally, we'll touch the topic of the hottest debate, Prince2 or PMP. Now let's start with the main topic. What is Prince2? Prince2 is an acronym for Project in a Controlled Environments, and it is a structured project management method based on experience drawn from thousands of projects and from the contribution of countless project sponsors, managers, project teams, and academic trainers. One of the major advantages of Prince2 is that it can be tailored and applied to any project regardless of the project scale, type, organization, geography, or culture. Now this is in brief about 6 aspects of the project in Prince2. Now let's talk about 4 Prince2 integrated elements that defines the structure of Prince2. The Prince2 methodology is based on the following key elements: 7 key principles supported by 7 themes, delivered by 7 processes, and tailoring Prince2 to the project environment. These 4 elements are termed as Prince2 integrated elements and are described in the slide as you're seeing. Now let's go through each of these integrated elements one by one. First, we will be going through the 7 principles. Once we are done with the principle, we'll go through the 7 themes, and followed by that 7 processes. Now 7 principles are depicted in the slide in front of you. The first one is continued business justification. The second is learn from experience. Third is define roles and responsibilities. Fourth is manage by stages. Fifth is manage by exception. Sixth is product focused, focus on product. Seventh is tailor to suit the project environment. Now let's go through each of these 7 principles one by one. Continued business justification is the first principle. A Prince2 project must have justifiable business case to start and continue in any time during the project life cycle. A business case describes the reason for doing the project, the forecast for the expected benefits that project will realize, forecast for both project cost and ongoing operational cost, and the period of time over which the benefits shall be realized by using the project's products. Business case also summarizes the major risks to the project that can have adverse impact to its outcome. In Prince2, at the end of each management stage or phase, the business case is reviewed to determine whether the project should continue. It is also reviewed if any major risk is anticipated or any major issue has happened. A very, very important point to note, business case is a dynamic document. It's not static at all. It needs to be updated based on the change in the project plan. Now, second principle is learn from experience. Whenever you start a project, always ask a question to yourself. Have I done this project before? Has it been done in the organization before? There might be a situation that it is neither done by you before nor by the organization before. Then look out and see, has it been done in the country or anywhere outside before? If it is, what are the key lessons? The lesson learns, in Prince2, the project start from the project start based on the lesson learned from the past projects. Now, when you start a project, you must consider whether you have done the similar kind of project before or has been done by your organization or some other organization you are aware of before, and capture the lesson learned that are relevant to your project. This helps in early identification of the risks and prevent the reoccurrence of the same problem. As work progresses on the project, lessons are collected, recorded in relevant logs and acted upon throughout the project life cycle. So lesson learned, projects start with a collection of lesson learned so that you don't make the same mistake again in the new project. Throughout the project in Prince2, lesson learned are collected so that you can take immediate corrective and preventive actions. And when the project ends, the lesson learned are compiled and put into the centralized repository so that they can be used for future projects. The third important principle in Prince2 is defined roles and responsibilities. It is important for everyone in the project team to know what is expected from them in terms of responsibilities, their level of authority for taking decisions, and who they report to. Prince2 map roles with a set of responsibilities, and each role may be fulfilled by one person or more than one. Also, an individual might fulfill more than one role. The roles and responsibilities can be tailored as per the complexity of the project. The project management team is defined much earlier during the project management life cycle. However, it is refined if required. The fourth principle is manage by stages. Prince2 uses stage gate model to control project progress. The work or overall scope to be delivered is divided into manageable units of work, and each stage delivers one or more unit of work. At the end of each stage, we have a stage end assessment to evaluate actual achievement against the planned targets. This gives the true picture of project progress and reduces the project risk by timely responding to the uncertainties and quick corrective actions for the issues. Before proceeding to the next stage, the business case is reviewed to determine whether the project continues to have a business justification or not. Now, the fifth principle is manage by exception. The idea behind this principle is to effectively utilize the senior management's time. And management's attention will be focused only on those areas that are in need of action. Management's time is important, and to use it efficiently, they should only be involved in a decision-making process when it is absolutely necessary. The day-to-day management is the responsibility of the project manager. The senior manager therefore delegates day-to-day management for a stage to the project manager within agreed tolerance for the objective of scope, time, cost, risk, quality and benefits. However, if the project manager forecasts that actual might exceed the allowable tolerance, then this is known as exception. In Prince2, this must be escalated to the senior management for a decision. This therefore is a very efficient use of senior management time and means that the project board is only involved in taking decision as and when the need arises. Focus on products is the sixth principle in Prince2. The focus should be on creating fit for purpose products, deliverables, not on activities. The definition of what project must deliver or project requirements should be done before the project begins during the high-level planning phase. In Prince2, this is termed as project product description and is written in consultation with the users. By developing and agreeing on the project requirements early helps in common understanding of the project requirement and the quality expectations from them. It also helps in developing initial cost and time estimates. Last but not the least is tailoring to suit the project environment. Now, no two projects are same. The level of control required for a large complex project is much greater than that required for a small project. As the risk associated with the complex projects are high, the number of stages required are likely to be greater than a low-risk project. If a similar set of processes are applied to every project without taking into account the complexity, there won't be any benefit. In fact, sometimes the process might become overhead instead of an aid. So all the practitioners must tailor Prince2 to suit the need of the project environment rather than embedding or pushing Prince2 on their project. Now the new slide in front of you depicts the 7 themes in Prince2. The 7 themes in Prince2 are business case, organization, quality, plans, risk, change and progress. Now let's go through these 7 themes one by one. Business case. This theme supports the continued business justification principle. The business case should justify initial and continuing investment in the project. It helps project management team to assess if a project is desirable, viable and achievable at any point in time. After project closure, the business case is confirmed based upon the operational benefits that accrue from using the project's product. Organization theme. This theme supports the defined role and responsibility principle. The organization theme defines and establishes project roles and responsibilities for a Prince2 project. It clearly addresses the 3 project interests: business, user and supplier. The level of management for the projects are defined across 4 levels: corporate or program management, that is external to the project team, who is responsible for commissioning the project board providing overall direction and management, and the project manager managing the project's day-to-day activities, and the team manager delivering the project's technical or specialist products. The third theme is quality. This theme supports focus on products principle. In Prince2, quality focuses on ensuring that project's products are fit for purpose. The overall approach for quality is defined in project's quality management strategy, which requires that there should be an explicit understanding of project scope and the quality criteria against which the product will be assessed. In other words, the focus of quality is on each product's ability to meet its requirements. Prince2 contains product-focused elements of quality planning, quality control, and quality assurance. Two types of quality methods are advocated in Prince2. In-process methods that build quality into products as they are developed, and the appraisal methods used to assess if the finished products are complete and fit for purpose. Now let's move to plans theme. Plan defines how, where, and by whom the project's product will be delivered. Plans are used in Prince2 to facilitate effective communication and control. They are aligned with the business case and require both approval and commitment from all levels of project management team. There are three levels of plan in Prince2: the project plan, stage plan, and team plans. Let's move to risk theme now. Risks are uncertain events that can have positive or negative impact on the project objectives. Risk management targets the proactive identification, assessment, and control of project risks in order to improve the chances of success. The 5 steps for managing the risk in Prince2 are: identify the cause, event, and effects of each risk, assess their probability and impact, plan the specific management response, implement the risk response as required, communicate the risk information to the stakeholder that are internal and external to the project. Now let's move on to the change theme. The change theme in Prince2 encompasses management of 3 types of issues. These 3 types of issues are change request, off specification, and problem or a concern. Project controls are established and maintained throughout the project to address these 3 areas. A prerequisite to effective management of changes, configuration management system. The configuration management system creates, maintain, and control the configuration throughout the life of the product. Now the last and the most important theme, progress. The 2 key principles this theme supports are managed by exception and managed by stages. Progress refers to mechanism used to monitor and compare the actual project progress and performance against the planned values. These mechanisms also allow the project manager to proactively forecast future performance based upon the current trend relative to the project objectives and make decisions to address potential variations. Progress measures the achievement of objective of a plan and can be reviewed at project stage and work package level in a project. Prince2 uses the concept of tolerance relative to time, cost, scope, risk, quality, and benefits to implement the principle of management by exception. Each level of plan has tolerance associated with it, allowing the responsible party to make decisions and just get on with things unless a tolerance violation occurs or is predicted to occur in future. It is important to note here that Prince2 does not address planning and control techniques that organization may select to support the Prince2 themes, such as critical path or earned value analysis. These techniques are well documented in a lot of other documents and may be incorporated into Prince2 at the organization's discretion. Leadership, motivational, and other interpersonal skills are also not codified in the method, but are recognized as essential to successful project management. Now I am moving to the third important integrated element, process. Now before we start talking about the process, I'll give you a brief overview about the structure of a Prince2 project. As you see on the top of this diagram, a Prince2 project can be divided into pre-project, initiation stage, and subsequent delivery stages followed by the final stage. The pre-project work is a feasibility study to check whether the project is a worthwhile or viable investment proposition or not. And as you see in this diagram, various processes are executed in these different stages. For example, if you talk about pre-project work, the only one process which is executed in pre-project work is starting up a project, SU in short form. In the initiation stage, we have two processes, IP, which stands for initiating a project, and SB, which stands for managing a stage boundary. And during the subsequent delivery stage, in every delivery stage, we have got three processes: controlling a stage, managing a product delivery, managing a stage boundary. However, in the final stage, this managing a stage boundary is replaced by closing a project process. And on top of all these processes, there is a process that sets overall direction of the project called as directing a project. The owner of this process is project board. Now let's quickly go through each of these processes in details. Now, how does Prince2 describes a process? Processes are collection of activities and describe a stepwise progression through the project life cycle from getting started to project closure. A process includes all the roles and responsibilities, tools, metrics, and management control required to reliably deliver the project. Now let's talk about each and every process in detail. The first process is starting up a project process, which is performed during pre-project work. The purpose of this process is to check the viability of the business case and to prevent the poorly conceived projects from getting initiated. Now let's see what will happen if you don't perform SU process. If you don't perform this process, we may discover during the later stages that project does not have a justifiable business case. However, by that time we had already lost a good amount of money. So this process tells you whether the project is a worthwhile investment proposition or not, whether there is a justifiable business case for a project or not. Now, initiation stage, also called as planning stage. In planning stage or initiation stage, we have two processes: IP, initiating a project, and SB, which is managing a stage boundary. Now let's go through initiating a project process. The purpose of this process is to provide a roadmap for execution of the project by providing detailed understanding of the business case, work to be done, and products to be delivered. The key output of initiating a project process is project initiation documentation. This is also called as PID, which is a roadmap for the delivery of the project. Now let's talk about the process managing a stage boundary, SB. The purpose of SB or managing a stage boundary process is to enable the project board with sufficient information by the project manager so that it can review the current stage, approve the next stage plan, confirm continued business justification, and acceptability of the risks. At a stage boundary, which you see at the end of all the stages, right from initiation stage to subsequent delivery stages, the actual performance of the project is checked vis-a-vis the planned performance. On the basis of this, an end stage report is created and based on that, a corrective and preventive action is taken for the subsequent stage. At the end of every stage boundary, you will have a review and retrospection process, and based on the review and retrospection, you will take corrective and preventive action for the subsequent stage. Now let's see what all processes are executed in the delivery stages. In delivery stages, we have a process called as controlling a stage. We have a process called as managing a product delivery, and again managing a stage boundary. Let's start with controlling a stage process. The purpose of controlling a stage process is to assign the work to be done, monitor the work, report progress to the project board, and take corrective actions to ensure that the stage remains within tolerance. Now, during this controlling a stage process, on regular basis, the project manager sends report to the project board. These reports are called as highlight reports. This process is owned by project manager. The next process is managing a product delivery, which is owned by a team manager. In this process, planned products are delivered to expectations and within quality tolerance. The progress information is provided to the project manager at an agreed frequency. Now, let's move to the final delivery stage. In final delivery stage, we have controlling a stage, managing a product delivery, which we have already discussed. But instead of managing a stage boundary, we have closing a project process. Now, the purpose of closing a project process is to provide a fixed point at which the acceptance for the project product is confirmed. In this process, we verify whether all the deliverables have been signed off by relevant people or not. We also hand over the deliverables to the operations team. We evaluate the project with respect to the planned targets. We check how the project has performed with respect to all the 6 aspects: the scope, the time, the cost, the risk, the quality, and the benefits. We create an end project report. We compile lesson learned so that they can be used for the future projects. Now that was in brief about the 6 processes. The 7th process, as I told you, is directing a project process. The purpose is to set the overall direction for the project. The key activities which happen in directing a project process are authorization, approvals, and this process is also responsible for providing ad hoc mentoring to the project management team. This process is actually owned by the project board or a steering committee. A very, very important point to note about Prince2 is the Prince2 is based on customer and supplier involvement. Customer will specify the desired result and probably pay for the project. Supplier will provide the resources and skills to deliver the results. There are 4 levels in a Prince2 organization. The topmost level is corporate or program. These people are required to commission the project. They are not the part of project management team. The project management team consists of the 3 levels, which are directing, owned by project board. They are the owner of project also. Managing level is owned by project manager, and the delivering level is owned by the team manager. The directing level is responsible for setting the overall direction of the project and leading the project. Managing level is responsible for day-to-day management of the project, and the delivering level is responsible for delivering of the project's deliverable or products. Now let's unfold the project organization in Prince2 further. As I said before, the project board will own the project in Prince2. The project manager will be responsible for day-to-day management of the stage. and the team manager will own the work package. So in Prince2, the project is owned by project board, stages are owned by project manager, and work packages are owned by team manager. Projects have stages, stages have work packages. In project board, we have a user representation which is called as senior user. This guy is responsible for acceptance criteria, benefits of the project. We have business representation which is called as executive. This guy is responsible for funding the project, responsible for ensuring that there is a justifiable business case for the project. Senior supplier, which is a supplier representation responsible for providing delivery, skills and technology support for the project. And we have project manager for day-to-day management of the project. We have team manager for managing the delivery of the project. Now, apart from this, we can add more roles such as change authority, project assurance, and project support, depending on the scale of the project. See, if the magnitude of the project or the size and the complexity of the project increases, we can scale up the team. If the size of the project is small, the complexity is low, we can scale down this team as well. For example, in project board, we can have executive performing the role of senior users and senior supplier as well for a very small project. We can also combine the role of project manager and team manager together, provided the project manager has got specialist skills as well. Now, let's have a quick overview of Prince2 qualification scheme. In Prince2, the basic level certification is foundation. Once you are through with the foundation, there is a next level certification called as practitioner. Now, foundation checks your basic skills, whether the basic fundamentals of Prince2 are clear or not. Practitioner checks your application level skills of Prince2 concept, and then there is a professional exam, which is totally a case study oriented exam. Let's discuss about all these levels of exam in detail. First of all, there is a foundation exam. The duration of foundation exam is 1 hour. It's a multiple choice question exam. The number of questions are 75. Out of these 75 questions, 5 questions are dummy. Their weightage is not counted. And you will not come to know which these questions are. So you have to score out of 70. The passing score is 35 out of 70. There is no negative marking. It's a multiple choice question exam in which corresponding to every question there will be 4 options, and out of them 1 will be correct. All the questions in foundation exam are direct. There are no indirect questions, and it's a closed book exam. Prince2 Practitioner, it checks your application skills. It's a 2.5 hour exam. Now this exam is scenario based, but yes, it is multiple choice exam. There won't be any direct question in a Prince2 Practitioner exam. There will be 8 questions with 10 sub-questions. So in total, there will be 80 questions in this exam. The passing score is 55%. That is, you have to score 44 out of 80 to pass the exam. It's an open book exam. However, in this exam, only Prince2 manual is allowed. Now, prerequisite for this exam is Prince2 Foundation, or the people who have cleared their PMP or other exams such as IPMA, they are exempted from Prince2 Foundation, so they can directly sit in Prince2 Practitioner exam. Prince2 Professional is the highest level of qualification in Prince2. It checks your application as well as research skill. There is no formal written exam for this. It's just a 2.5 day residential assessment based on group activities, exercises, and fictional project case study. Now, before we start with the important topic of today's discussion, I would request, if you have any questions, you can ask me. If you have any questions related to Prince2 themes, principles, processes, please ask me. Okay, now let's compare Prince2 and PMP. Now see, Prince2 is a methodology that explains what you should do from start to end of the project. Now step-by-step activities are defined from start to end of the project. It will not cover areas such as HR, leadership, style, communication and procurement. Whereas PMP is based on project management body of knowledge from PMI. It's a knowledge-based approach. It explains what, as a project manager, you should know. It is based on 10 knowledge areas, 47 processes, and 5 process groups. So, PMP is more about what a project manager should know. It is a knowledge-based approach. Whereas Prince2 tells you step by step what a project manager has to do from start to middle to end of the project. PMP is descriptive or non-prescriptive. It explains the good practices, whereas Prince2 is prescriptive. It tells you what to do. PMBOK consists of the tools and technique of the project management and is a guide telling how things could be done, whereas Prince2 is a methodology with a clear process, steps and templates. Prince2 answers what, when and whom questions. Prince2 explains exact set of process or steps to be followed and provides all the templates of the artifacts which are required to manage the project. A project manager following Prince2 is very clear about the steps to be followed. Now, another very important difference is PMP is centered totally around project manager and emphasizes on what a project manager should do and his roles and responsibilities. Whereas in Prince2, the focus is on 3 levels of management: the directing level, owned by project board; managing level, owned by project manager; delivering level, owned by team manager. Now, unlike PMP, where the project is owned by project manager, in Prince2, the project is owned by project board. Now, which is better out of the two? We know that PMP is a framework, Prince2 is a method, PMP is knowledge-based, Prince2 is execution-based. See, in nutshell, Prince2 complements PMP. As such, they don't contradict each other. They're complementary. Both have their own pros and cons. Now, if you want to learn what is project management, what are the good practices in project management, go for PMP. If you want to learn how to execute a project, go for Prince2. Now, generally, the trend in Commonwealth countries such as UK, Europe or Australia, people go for Prince2 as a certification and they learn PMP to complement their skills. In US, where PMP is more popular, people go for PMP certification and learn Prince2 to complement their skills. Now, there are some questions that I need to answer. I'll answer all of your questions one by one. Now, Chetan Kumar's question is, how to apply themes and principles? What is the relationship between 6 aspect, themes and principles? A very good question, Chetan. See, principles are good practices which a project must follow. Now, see, if you talk about principles, the practices such as continued business justification, learn from experience, defined roles and responsibilities, manage by stages, manage by exception, focus on products, tailor to suit the project environment, all these 7 principles are good practices or guiding obligations that a project must follow. The principles cannot be tailored. Whereas themes are like knowledge areas to be considered. Now, what are 6 aspects? Now, 6 aspects are like variables or performance targets against which you measure the progress of the project. For example, you can set targets in terms of cost, time, scope, and as you move forward in the project, you see the actual performance vis-a-vis the planned targets. The actual work happens in processes, and the processes are supported by themes. We can tailor themes, we can tailor processes based on the type of project, but principles are good practices. They must be followed by every project. Is that clear, Chetan? Bhagwan, your question is, I heard that Prince2 is valid in European countries. See, apart from European countries, it is very well accepted in countries like Australia, New Zealand, and Middle East. Suresh, you are asking a question, what is the fee structure of foundation, practitioner, and professional exam? See, the fee structure of these exams are governed by the exam institutes, and it varies based on the geographies. So, just like PMP, there is no fixed fee structure in case of Prince2. See, if you have just started, my preference will be you should go for Prince2, Rajesh. The reason being, Prince2 tells you how to execute the project. It gives you a complete roadmap right from start to end of the project, in which it gives you step-by-step instruction. Okay, what you have to do from start to end of the project. All the templates which you have to use for managing the project, such as business case, project brief, project initiation documentation, various reports that you have to create, are clearly defined in Prince2. In India, Sumit, generally companies are asking for either PMP or Prince2. Most of the companies who work for both European and US clients, they're asking for PMP, either PMP or Prince2 as a qualification. See, Rajiv, as a civil engineer, based on the experience, you can opt for PMP or Prince2 both. But see, as a civil engineer, there is no reason why you are disqualified for PMP. Anybody with more than 3 years of project management experience can appear for PMP. Absolutely, yes, Dipesh, you should go for Prince2. See, Prince2, ISRA, the Prince2 professional exam, for Prince2 professional exam, the bare minimum condition is that you have to be a Prince2 practitioner. And see, it's not a test, it's an exercise that you have to do in group based on a fictitious case study. Yes, in Edureka, we will conduct exam also, Babu. In Middle East, Sunil, Prince2 is very well recognized. They give a lot of importance to Prince2. See, we do not have any industry-based project management certification. However, Prince2 or PMP they both are domain independent and can be used in any of the industry. It can be very easily, Prince2 specifically can be very easily integrated with any specialist aspect of any specific industry. See, Mukesh has asked me a question. Can I go for MSP exam after PMP certification? Now, MSP is managing successful programs, which is done usually after completing Prince2 practitioner. The only important thing about MSP exam, Mukesh, is MSP from Exelos is highly integrated with Prince2. So my advice to you is first study. Even if you don't go for a certification, it's okay. First study Prince2 thoroughly, then go for MSP. See, Jayant, if Jayant is asking me a question. I am working in IT service industry, so what should I choose, PMP or Prince2? Jayant, see, to anybody who is just starting with the certification, I would recommend he should, in India specifically, he should start with Prince2, then go for PMP. Because Prince2 will enable you to use project management methodologies in your project. Yes, Babu, the exams are available in online as well as paper-based format. Now, Priyanka has asked me a question, how much total experience is required for Prince2 Foundation? There is no prerequisite for Prince2 Foundation exam in terms of experience. A fresh graduate can also appear in Prince2 Foundation exam. Now, Mukesh has asked me a question, do I need Prince2 mandates to qualify for MSP? No. No, Mukesh, Prince2 is not a prerequisite for doing MSP. However, since Prince2 and MSP are highly integrated, the knowledge of Prince2 is very useful if you do MSP.